Welcome back. We're discussing the federal government's plastic ban and what's going to happen to Canadian industry because of this. Ves, let's go to you. Your thoughts on this legislation that's coming fast and furious.
Well, I think Joachim hit the nail on the head just before break there. What the government policy is going to do is double the amount of waste that's created and double the cost to the taxpayer to dispose of, which really is the definition of a bad policy. Joachim had mentioned paper straws. Those paper straws use glue that's carcinogenic. So they're changing something that's very well known, very well understood, and performed very well, and replacing it with something that's worse. It just doesn't make sense. They should stop immediately. That would be the better course.
So, gentlemen, on their June 20th press release, the federal government claimed, after working with Canadians and stakeholders alike to design the ban, the government is taking the final step to deliver this commitment. Tell us about the consultation period. Did you folks feel that the government actually listened to the industry and the industry partners? Joachim, you first.
Well, I think I can tell honestly that we were highly engaged from day one. We participated at any level of government. We had meetings with even the Associate Assistant Deputy Minister at the ECCC. We did provide detailed, I think, well-researched comments on the proposed order. And we did request a revision board, as, by the way, many other groups requested, and it was denied. We also participated actually in working sessions with the ECCC. In short, we brought ourselves in deeply, and we were fully invested in this. Regretfully, and I got to really say it that way, we had to learn that our suggestions were not acted upon, nor did the process leave us with the impression that we had a meaningful discussion and outcomes. In hindsight, it's hard to not to conclude that the whole process was mostly, let me call it, window dressing. And it's interesting, even so, there was a clear need to better understand the subject matter. And the interesting part is even the ECCC issued science assessment concluded that it is, and I quote here, that research be conducted to address key knowledge gaps that were identified. So it sadly appears the outcome has already been predetermined, I would say. And this is tragic, as bans will stifle innovation, and Canadian companies were pioneers in recycling globally.
So Joachim, for those that don't know, could you just tell us what the ECCC is?
That's the Environment and Climate Change Ministry.
Great, perfect. Ves, in an article in the Toronto Star on June 21st, titled "Why Canada's Plastics Ban is More Than Just About Litter," Marco Chan Overd states that according to research, this ban is also about limiting the demand for oil. Can you comment upon this?
Well, the interesting thing about plastics is you cannot make plastics without oil or natural gas. And this federal government has had a very overt and open policy of trying to reduce the oil and gas industry in Canada. In fact, Jerry Butt said that oil and gas will not be in Canada by 2050. So this is just a component part. I totally agree with his article. This is just one phase of the big total program to get rid of our birthright. Canada is the third largest producer of oil and gas in the world. They want us not to use that ever again. But we see now with what's going on in the Ukraine that it's very important to be an energy superpower and self-sufficient. And this attack on plastics is misguided. It's just a component part on the attack on the oil industry.
And indeed, we see the linkages between democracy and having affordable energy and resources. Joachim, in about the minute we have left, the food services industry, from freezies to cookie manufacturers, are reeling when they're looking, and some of them are looking at relocation. Such a tight time frame. What are you hearing on the impacts on the industry and also investment in Canada because of this plastics ban?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we see is really that recycling lines and investments are in circular economy. Really what we would want to do is getting postponed and even outright canceled. And I want to drive this point maybe one more time home with the straws that we talked about. Like, this is a solution that is really not meant to be in a liquid. Like a paper straw is absorbing liquid. We know that. The paper straw gets soggy. It has glue and additives in it to stop it from that. Well, if it got soggy, and mine actually did get soggy, very much. Where does the additives end up is the question. But the worst part here is really that the legislation is not only for Canada, but it will ban our right to produce straws and export them as well. And this is critical because other countries may not ban, but innovate. And if they innovate their way out of it, and they really would have the ideal plastic material to go in an endless loop.